Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing on this beautiful spring morning? It's Victoria Lorient Fabish, holistic psychotherapist, registered psychotherapist, and I want to talk about courageous conversations that you may be having with yourself while you're going through a conflict. Essentially, I don't know about you, but there's a lot going on the planet, and there's a lot of people who are engaged in difficult experiences, difficult conversations, conflicts. I know it happens always, but I'm just noticing that of late there seems to be something around that there's lots and lots. Hi, Rick. Thanks for joining me. Lots of sort of conflictual energy and conflictual experiences, and people are just going through it. And if they're not going through it, they're having conflict with themselves or mishaps are happening. And so the times are challenging, folks. We're going through some challenging times. And I think it's universal, it's planetary. I think that there's as a holistic psychotherapist, I think it's pretty well, as above, so below. Everything that's going on planetarily, universally, is going on within, at the deeper inner level. Conflict with self, conflict with values, conflict with what do you believe to be true? Are you operating from integrity or from fear or from family of origin issues, traumas? Are your reactions from the moment or from what you learned in your trauma family experience? These are the kinds of questions that I just want to have a brief video on it so that you can understand. Number one, you're not alone. You're not alone. You are not alone. A lot of people are going through this, and I'm here to send you some good vibes and to tell you need to be a spiritual warrior through this, and you need to walk through the mountain. There's no way around the mountain. If you are a person who's interested in growing, if you are a person who's interested in evolving and being more in touch with wider perspectives on things, then you're going to be attracting toward yourself your challenges. And if you're going through challenges, the most important thing to understand, I believe, is have courageous conversations with yourself. Get yourself a journal and write down your feelings. Be honest with yourself. Be authentic with yourself. And the reason I say this to you is because people can BS themselves. There's a lot of bullshitting of oneself when it comes to when we feel hurt or when we're in a conflict or when we feel we've lost something or when we feel something has done us wrong or someone has done us wrong. And we can go down the rabbit hole of victimhood and give yourself time to experience feeling sorry for yourself, but rise through it and write in a journal what was your part, what was your part in the mess. And also what you want to experience going forward. And also, what boundaries do you have? What is important? Like, these are questions like, what's my part in the mess? Is what in this experience, what's going on? Is it mine or is it theirs? And usually there's a bit of both, right? And also, is this stuff I'm feeling from the now or from past traumas? So if you came from a family that had really, really unhealthy fighting and you're traumatized by that, but then in a present fight, there's a little bit of unhealthiness, are you making it so that it's as if the experience was the same as what you came up with and you're reacting in that kind of a defensive way? Are you being defensive? Number one killer of relationships, in my opinion. Defensiveness, not kind of taking in what your responsibility is and things. Also, are you deflecting? Are you deflecting? These are all important, courageous conversations. I just want to decline this phone call that just came in because it's interrupting our live broadcast. And courageous conversations with yourself regarding, are you allowing yourself to enter into the poor me phase? Why me, poor me? That's where you don't take any responsibility. And also, are you timing out? Are you timing out in a fight? Did you time out at the right time? Timing out is such an important tool to not letting it get to red zone. Are you timing out at the right time? All these questions should be written down in your journal and also to take to another conflict. Are you, when we go through conflicts, we are often in our hurt child. And so we can't, and we're in our state of triggered. So we can't have empathy or compassion for the other person's point of view when we're in that experience. So in order to have good, healthy conflicts and good, healthy experiences through conflicts, we need to be able to get to a place of empathy and compassion. But if you're having an unhealthy dynamic in which you are being attacked, it's hard to have compassion for the person who's attacking you. So setting up rules of engagement for conflict is the way out of the rabbit hole of conflict and dirty conflict, nasty conflict, unhealthy, toxic conflict. And also, check your expectations. Have your expectations been realistic? Have your expectations been, from your own hurt child, tough childhood, and you're putting those expectations onto this person? Or are your expectations reasonable? In which you learned from that childhood and you want to have healthy dynamics no matter what, even if you have to lose some people and you have to blow a little fire as you're doing it. So brief video, but just as a framework that I know we're all going through it. And it's kind of a universal experience that a lot of people are going through tough moments with people, tough moments, disappointments, feeling dashed, feeling like, really? This too, again? It's hard enough to be alive, let alone have these conflicts. But you are going to go through them. But you need to be having courageous conversations with yourself first about what it is that is going on. Hi, Mazar. I'm Wan. Thanks for joining me. Share this video because everybody's going through it, okay? Everybody's going through their conflicts, but how are you going to do your life? Are you going to lie to yourself? Are you going to be in denial? Are you going to be defensive? Are you going to set up the causes and conditions to have good types of conflict, positive roadmap, rules of engagement to navigate through a conflict? And I'm going to be doing larger seminars on courageous conflict. Well, I'm back. I had some computer issues, so I had to reboot, but here I am, and I just wanted to continue what I was talking about, which is courageous conversations with yourself while you're going through a conflict. And the key things to remember are that when you're in that conflict, get yourself a clear roadmap out of the dysfunction. And a lot of people have been going through many, many different conflicts, I would say, and a lot of challenging times. I think it's universal. I think as above, so below, it's pretty universal. And what I want to tell you is that you are in charge of how difficult or how toxic the situation is. And the truth is, there's a number of things to look at. Number one, are you contributing to the cleanup or the mess in the situation? So look at yourself. Have a courageous conversation with yourself, okay? Number one. Number two, have a journal and write down some of the triggers that you're experiencing. So use a timeout if it's getting too heightened, and then go and write down your feelings in a journal. Ask yourself, are your reactions from the now or from the troubled, traumatic childhood? If you had a really, really traumatic childhood, likelihood is that a lot of what's happening in this moment is triggering you from that time, and you could be using those very experiences to toxify your own behavior in that dynamic. So these are important things to do when you're going through a conflict, is to self-analyze, to have courageous conversations with yourself. And these are not easy things to do because it's a lot easier to go, poor me. It's a lot easier to live in the bitter way of looking at life. Oh, everyone's kind of crap. Everyone's kind of not doing, great things. People are terrible. But you're basically just feeding your poor me, your victimhood, and you're not taking responsibility for your part in the mess, which is the number one road out of feeling like a victim. Because if you are not taking responsibility for your being, your thoughts, your words, your experience, and we've all done it. I mean, we've all done it. You're basically denying yourself the privilege of learning from the difficult situation. And when you're in a conflict with a close friend or a close partner or a close a close person, it's so important to develop rules of engagement. And let's see, and develop those rules of engagement before the conflict. I know that's hard, but in close relationships, I think it's really important to, find out, how do we do fighting? Do we just amputate? Do you just, what do you do? Do you shut down? Do you become the child? Do you not analyze? Do you become defensive? Do you play dirty pool, dirty fighting, using all the methods to just put them in their place? I mean, again, we've all done it, but you have the ability to decide to not do that, is the point. You know what I mean? We all do it, but it's important that you have the ability to go, I played dirty pool. I played dirty fighting in that. I used their weaknesses and I used it against them. I brought in anything that I could to shut them down. But integrity is, how do I behave when no one's looking? How do I behave when no one's looking? And that's all you. That's no one else. That's just yours. And therefore, how does one behave when no one's looking? Is a decision you make with a courageous conversation decision you make with yourself. And that's what I want to say. Thank you, Leanne, for joining me, and Juan and Mazar. Leanne says that these videos are helpful along with my books. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. My reason for being is to help, if I can, shed some light on these really difficult things called being alive on the planet. Is hard enough, people. It's hard enough. And I sometimes look at the universe and say, listen, it's hard to live on the planet as a human being, but could you give us some help, please? And you know what? I always get help. So I encourage you to have good conversations with the unseen energies out there. I'm a holistic psychotherapist, and so I do believe we are mind, bodies, and spirits. And life can be very, 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 very challenging. But one thing to really observe when you're, again, in a conflictual, difficult situation is to know, number one, what are your expectations of the person? Are they realistic? Are you expecting them to be perfect? Are you expecting them to have no flaws, no baggage, no traumas? And then when you get some of that energy toward you, you're surprised and dashed and you want to amputate. Watch for that. Everyone's living their human experience, and it's not an easy one. But I think that what we can do to facilitate going through what is ours to do, which is going through the mountain of life. You can't go around it. You can't go over it. You can't go under it. You need to go through it. And as you're going through it, you don't need to do it alone. You can get support. But to go through it is hard. And as you're going through it, the question you need to ask yourself is, am I just closing my eyes and running through the mountain and not learning anything? Or am I going through the mountain and gathering tools to hack through the mountain, and which are, I would believe, or I think, symbols for our concrete thoughts. Hack through your concrete thoughts that you learned from your family of origin, and look to be open to learning, open to what's being said, don't let the ego just take over and go, what was said was so hurtful, I'm just going to banish what's being said. Have the courageous conversations with yourself to look at what's being said and ask yourself, does this fit? Is this even somewhat true? Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. Just because they said it doesn't mean it's true. But discern. Look inside. Ask yourself. Have a courageous conversation with yourself. And which is the most important relationship, I believe, period. And work on not being defensive. Work on not playing dirty pool. And if dirty fighting is happening in the conflict, time out. Time out. Let's get some rules of engagement so we can be healthy, so we can have a rich, beautiful relationship in life. And I recommend this for friendships that are close, for marriages, for partnerships, for anything. Get in front of a therapist who knows how to navigate through conflict with people. Not every therapist does. Get in front of someone who does and work through. But I really want you to have the courage to look at yourself and to not just avoid. Okay, so looks like I'm going to have 2 videos on this topic. I don't know if the first video actually was able to download, but I basically recreated a lot of this, what was said in the first video here. So I want you to share the video widely because people need to know this. They're going through some hell, and we want them to stop bullshitting themselves. We want people to tell themselves the truth and have courageous conversations with themselves and others, but first with themselves, and to work on roadmaps to healthy conflict. Try to stay out of defensiveness. Try to stay out of poor me. Learn from what's in front of you. Take personal responsibility for everything that's said and every experience that's there. And just because they say it about you doesn't mean it's true about you. And so don't go down the rabbit hole of, well, that was said, therefore it is true. Discern, understand what's really going on for yourself and have your own value system. And that's the Coles Notes on that. Have a fantastic day. I will come back very soon. And probably tomorrow probably will not be live. But next week I come back with some great guests and some good lives. Blessings. Love yourself. I love you. Have a great one. Mwah. All right. Take care. Thank you, Jennifer, for joining me too. And Eduardo.